Dean gets it. What the fuck? It's finale night at a party.
It's not finale night. It's Thursday. The finale was 24 hours next day.
Finale.
Oh, wait, sorry. I gotta do the thing where I wallow instead.
What up, y'all? Welcome to The Vibe Has Spoken.
Spence, the music is still
It
playing.
was finale night, and it is no longer, but we're talking the finale. That's the straight one. This is the gay one. And we have a guest, Dean. Who are you?
Too complicated for a Survivor after show to label, I guess.
You know what? Respect. Yeah, so the finale happened. None of us have talked anything about it other than Holtzman likes his twin, which, shocker. So actually, I want to talk to Dean first. Just question, how are you feeling about the season overall? Because you were like the unknown property currently.
Yeah, big fan of the season. Been loving the cast. Really like everyone in this season. Was a big fan of Emily, as everybody was along the way. So that was a big downer when Emily was out. But I'm a big fan of the season. I'm happy with the winner. I'm just happy how it all turned out. Not my favorite, not my number one or maybe number two winner that I wanted, but of who was left at the end, I'm happy about it.
Curious everything there, but let's just jump right into it. Open up post-tribal. Austin's like, ayo, future girlfriend question mark D. What the fuck? My number one, blindsided my number one. That's not how that shit works. That's not how the math works.
No.
But they're fine. They're good. Which I think, and it comes back later as we get back to the D of it all. But I think this is where we see how like genuinely great she is at compartmentalizing everything. I saw Tyson and Rob actually a few minutes ago, like talking about the whole episode and just like, yeah, this game, people have gotten too personal with it. And I think D is a player who's able to capitalize on keeping things close and personal without really overly investing in all of that.
Yeah, I think D, saying that she plays with her emotions, but I think she doesn't get hurt feelings when something, she still knows it's a game, is able to play the game, but is able to play it with her heart. I know, not an emotional game, but a game with her heart. I think it obviously really worked out for her.
Yeah, it's really a thing where there's big talk throughout the whole season and throughout this episode even about playing with your head versus playing with your heart. And Dee played a lot with her heart, but she was better at sometimes using her head than other people were. Notably one other person who we'll talk about later. And yeah, I think this season, head versus heart is almost kind of the story and the theme of this season in a way where you have Emily who the big character of the season at the very beginning was very very analytical, observational, all of these things, and then had to learn how to have this social connection, to be this person who's connected, these heart things, and learning that from Caleb, who was all heart. He was all just energy, working with people, and seeing that it really came down to who can kind of have the best balance between those two things is a very fitting ending to the season, I think.
I like the idea that Emily is all brain, Caleb was all heart, and you could put them together to make a really great player. But unfortunately, Caleb has a girlfriend, so all of our hopes have been dashed and ruined.
Emily also has a boyfriend.
Okay, yes, but I remember, I think this was right around the merge. Emily liked to tweet, referencing that her and Caleb would be a cute couple, and there was vibes going on. And I feel utterly betrayed that both of them are in relationships, not with each other.
Yeah, totally. That's heartbreaking.
I was watching the finale with my roommate yesterday, old roommate. And she looked up Caleb on Instagram immediately saw he had a girlfriend and learned and just started hating him because that couldn't be her. Which honestly, respect.
Yeah, for sure.
And then, as always,
I mean, another theme of this finale was Emily's opinion on men.
Queen, fucking queen for that.
Yeah, right.
Up next, we get like the pretty standard final five. Go run and shit for an advantage. Has it always been a challenge advantage? I honestly can't remember.
I believe it's been it's been an advantage in the final immunity challenge all of the times that it's been here, because 41, I think Erica got it, and it was the difference between her winning that final five challenge or not. Otherwise, Ricard would have won it and probably would have won that season.
Right.
42, Lindsay won it and it didn't matter. 43,
Owen, I think. No,
I thought Owen
Cassidy
did it and threw something because
because he was like slamming the fucking machete on the beach.
Did Carla win it? I think
maybe.
I want to say she was at least in the area.
She had a busted ass toes. I don't think she did.
It was either Carla or Cassidy. I don't remember which one.
Cassidy, yeah.
It wasn't.
And then last season, it was.
There were only 4 people at the final 5 of 43.
I have no clue what was last season.
Survivor 44.
Yeah, I don't know who it was last season.
I haven't rewatched
I don't remember
anything from 44, and I don't really intend to.
Anyways, Jake wins it by being a nerd, which, shocker, American Cameron Holtzman is a nerd.
Hey, look, if I had a nickel for every white guy who looks kind of like this, who's really into theater, is a nerd about Survivor, kind of Charlie Browns his way through a lot of situations, and is found incredibly, remarkably attractive by my fiance, I have 2 nickels.
I didn't know she had a crush on Owen. It's crazy.
No. Owen is not a white guy who looks like this, as I prefaced the entire beginning of my statement with.
I love that Jake won it by going slow and steady. You know,
one of these days we're gonna get Jake on this show, and 2 things are gonna happen. 1, we're gonna finally get like a side-by-side comparison of how we look. And 2, I'm gonna have to tell my fiance that, like, hey, we got him, and you're joining me on this call so that you can meet him, because if I didn't do that, I'd be a dick.
I really wish that if y'all ever meet up, you each pull out like half of a torn photograph.
Yes.
And realize when you put it together. You're like long legs.
Hey, look, and you know what? Another notch in Jake's belt. He also thinks correctly that Ralph Breaks the Internet is not a good movie. He randomly tweeted that like a week ago, and I quote tweeted, and it was like, just when I thought I couldn't like you anymore, and he liked my tweet. I was like, let's go.
Great.
What's it called? Ralph Wrecks the Internet. They fucked it up. Damn right. King. Yeah, and he wins the advantage, which would have meant a lot, but some things happen. We should probably mention he wins. Like yes, he wins by being slow and steady, which is probably the best thing to do. When this challenge, you can't fuck with it, and just be like, oh, I'm off. Like you need to like run each fucking time. Exhausting. Good move. And he did the best thing possible, sort of. He remembered Denise. He remembered JT. Why the fuck did you bring up Gabler? I immediately I didn't need the glory shot of that fucking boomer stroking his beard. Didn't.
Wow, what a winner!
Hey, you know, of all the winners we've had in the new era, he's one of them.
He's done it. He's a winner.
He did do that.
I love the remembering the Survivor winners though for the numbers, and then even when he's yelling out the numbers, he's yelling out the names of the Survivor winners, and he's like, "Oh no,
what were the numbers?" And he goes, "JT Gabler, 18, 43, 25."
Well, no one else knows what I'm talking about.
It's a kind of similar strategy to what Steven did in Tocantins, or second, no, it was in Tocantins, yeah, where during one of the challenges, rather than remembering a sequence of like during the math challenge,
it's the 10 symbols, and he makes each one a number.
Mm.
And he's like, you can remember us up to a 7-digit number easily because that's why phone numbers are 7 digits. And so he goes, here's 2 5-digit numbers for me to remember, and then brings them back. So like he takes forever on the balance beam, but then he gets back and he solves it in one go, whereas JT makes like 5 trips back and forth but can't do it.
Right. And I that's some I think it's a really good strategy. We'll see it like in a Once Upon an Island video. But I do think that this is probably one of the better ways to do this challenge in a season where Jake hasn't had the best luck. It's nice to see that even like starved, he can still like really have that retention there.
Yeah, for sure. I think the advantage should have been that he didn't have to solve the combination lock at all because he already did it. Like that would have been a cool like thematic thing. Oh, you already did it. Now you don't have to do it in the challenge. But instead, he still had to do it. He just got a couple of the numbers ahead of time. But yeah, he had a lead with that and then just completely blew it by not remembering what you do after you unlock the numbers.
I'll be honest, D, when you started talking, I really thought you were going to say it would be cool if the advantage was he didn't have to solve the puzzle at the end and all. And I was like, that would have been even too much.
Too much, a little too much.
So we get to the challenge where I read the first step of it, and they have to like, I think it's just crawling under a net, and you get to a thing where you got to toss some bags into a like lever mechanism
into a basket, basically.
Into a basket, and it reveals a number, which leads to a comment.
Spence, your audio cut out again. This happens every week.
It's out.
So yeah, you got to solve some combination. You crawl under some stuff, you throw some sandbags, you get some numbers, you solve a combination lock,
and you pull the key out, and a different key drops.
And you grab a key. You grab a key. It's simple as
get that key.
You grab a key.
Get that key.
And you climb up a rope. Yeah. I think I cut out again.
You're good.
We will see.
You're here for me.
You're fine.
Okay, I'm fine. And you climb up a rope, and you got to unlock your puzzle, where you get a bunch of pieces of a puzzle that are all equally important that you use to build a Michelle Tower. Not only is this an immunity challenge, it's also a reward challenge where you win a trip to the sanctuary where good things happen. And Jeff actually fucking said it this time. And you get steak and potatoes. Fuck yeah. Fuck with that. But Michelle, I don't has Michelle Tower literally only been in 3 times now?
So in American Survivor, yes.
Okay.
In all of International Survivor, as this show's resident International Survivor guy, it has been in 1 season of Australian Survivor. It was solved by a guy named Josh, and he didn't kick it over. So disappointment. I'm glad
you have to kick it over. Why even play if you're not going to kick it over? What are you doing?
Like we all know all 5 of the people there, if any of them had solved that puzzle, they were kicking that tower.
Kick it over, yeah.
Because what else do you do to them?
Yeah, Jeff will kick it over if you don't. He'll come over and kick it over.
And as we all know, people in this episode, in this final 5, really like doing damage with their feet to aspects of challenges.
Yep.
So we get to the challenge, and everyone's doing like a decent job. Austin's obviously getting ahead. Jake's right there with him. Dee's a little behind. Couture's a little behind. Julie's a little behind. And Jake's reward basically is you only have to throw it into one of the baskets rather than all 3. Throws it in the basket. Him and Austin are neck and neck. Unlocks the puzzle. Runs up the rope. Where's the fucking key? Oh, whoops. Runs back down, and Austin's already got the whole first tier done. Like, it's insane how fast he's getting this shit.
Yeah.
But then Jake starts the puzzle, and he's doing it pretty fast. And then Dee gets up, and she's doing all right at it. Couture and Julie, I think, are out of it at this point. Like, they're not finishing the puzzle. And they build up, neck and neck again. On that last layer, Jake takes the lead, and he almost fucking wins it. 1 piece is missing. He's like, God, I can't this even. What am I doing? Austin wins immunity, and Jeff's like, hey, Jake.
That's the part that made me feel really bad. Was like,
yes,
I feel like
Jeff was mean to Jake the whole episode
and content not knowing. Like if he didn't know, he would have been so happy, so content.
I can't believe it. I can't believe Jeff did. He like lifts it up, or he points at it, he shows him, and then he says, "Yeah, I was there the whole time." Like, he just rubs it in. The whole time, is there. The whole time. You missed it. You
Looking
failed
for
this one.
Like, we're such a fucking idiot. You could have won.
Yeah. And just knowing how Jake is and how Jake's like afraid of the failure and afraid of being the one that's like not as sharp as everybody else. And it's like, hey, guess what? You did it, dummy. You did it again. You missed a piece. Oh, it was heartbreaking.
Yeah. But yeah, Austin wins. They go to the sanctuary where good things happen.
Oh my God. Okay.
And Jake does something dumb.
I mean, he
someone
does
this season
something-
overshares.
He does something dumb, but he turns it into something smart, I think.
Maybe.
To a degree.
If it was part of his plan initially, I think it was pretty smart.
I think that I understand where you're coming from. I would have liked to hear him say where he's coming from.
For sure. Yeah,
I
for
definitely
sure.
what you mean. Okay, so Jake just fucking whips the idol out of his dick and is
Yeah.
like, hey, look at this, Austin. My crotch idol. I found it on the beach. Oh, shit. I'm going to use it on myself next round because I'm getting votes almost for sure. Austin.
Oh, no.
And we're gone. And Austin's like, I like steak and D, and this idol interferes with neither of those things. But yeah,
The idol
really,
comes...
it's like he shows the idol, and Austin's like, okay, cool. And then we get back to the beach, and Austin's like, well, Jake has an idol, so I guess we're voting for Katura then. Cool, great.
Which Jake's like, oh my God, I'm not going to tell anybody about this. The second he gets back to the fucking beach, he's like, hey, Katura, can you keep a secret? What? We're getting out fucking D or whatever. And you're like, yeah. You swear on your Nana? Swear on your fucking Nana? We're going to get her out. Jake's like, yeah, I swear on my Nana. We're good. Let's do this. And then D tells Julie and everything everyone fucking knows.
So I don't know if it was Jake's plan to get attention off of him by telling everybody that he has the idol. I don't think that was his initial plan. I think he pivoted after that, after making that big mistake of just telling Austin that he has it. I think he then pivoted to get knowing that he won't get any votes because of that, right? Because everyone knows he's just saying, oh, I'm playing it on myself. Yep, going to play it on myself. So then no one will vote for him, and he can use it for something big. He can use it to save someone, to get all the oohs and ahs. So I think I do think that he made a big mistake at the sanctuary, but then turned it into at least something.
I think there's an idea where Jake could have done this of basically flashing his idol and pulling a Dominic Abate if you really think about it. Of saying, hey, here's my idol. Why would you vote for me if you know I have it and know I'm going to play it when I have to?
Yeah, but he told the right people. Like, he didn't just tell everyone so that everyone would think, oh, he's up to something. Why is he telling us all this? He told Austin, who he knew would tell D.
Yeah.
He knew D would tell Julie. He told the right people so that it would like cascade to everybody knowing.
No, and I agree. I think that if he had walked us through it, it would be a good move.
Yeah.
But I think without that little confessional being like, oh, yeah, so here's the plan, it makes it look like an accident.
Yeah,
if it was
right.
purposeful, that's its own thing. I respect the fuck out of that. But then we get to the actual vote, which is one of the worst moves I've seen in Modern Survivor, where the vote is a 2-1-1-1. How
Right.
the fuck do you do that? How the fuck?
Because no one talks to each other and everyone gets paranoid.
And no one wants to like burn their bridges, right? Like, there's no way Dee's writing Julie down because like she can't do that. She doesn't want to do that. She's probably fine with Dee sitting over at the jury, but she does not want to have written her name down.
I listened to Dee and Rob's interview where she basically said that like once you get to tribal, you do not fucking change your vote no matter what. You came in there and you have a talk for 20 minutes. That's not going to change everything. And that's what happened with Shambo, and that's what's happening here. Stick to your fucking plan. She said, I am going in to write Katura's name down. Or I forget, no, was it Jake? One of the two.
She wrote Katura, yeah.
She wrote Katura's name down. Which, again, if you know that Jake has the idol, you're going to write her name down. That's the smart move. Julie writes Jake's name down because she's like, well, I want revenge, blah, blah, blah. She's been like this for 4 fucking votes.
Oh,
still. Jake writes D's name down. He's like, I'm gonna idol Katura. I'm good.
I
I'm
also
safe."
do think it's worth noting on the whole Julie thing is like she's been saying this since like the split tribal vote where Jake voted for Julie, but Caleb went home. And yet this was the first time she actually wrote down Jake's name.
She just needed to do it, needed to get it out there.
And then that would mean that Katura voted for Julie, and so did Austin.
Yeah.
Why? Why would you write down fucking Julie's name?
I mean, he tried to get her out 2 times in a row, didn't, and then he did. Like, I think that the tribal was everybody just trying to find one other person that they were in line with, and then that person did something else than what they thought. And I think Austin choosing Julie was his only moment that he had where he went against D. You know, D kind of had him manipulated. Well, they had, a real relationship, but she was still playing the game and he was not. He let it get in the way. And I think this is the only time he didn't let it get in the way. He went with someone that he needed to get out, and it worked in his favor. So even though it might have been accidental, I think it actually worked out for him as a positive thing.
Yeah. Spence, your audio went again. Oh my goodness. Well, Dean, I think you make some very salient points, but Adelaide disagrees clearly.
Thank you, Cam.
They're contrary.
Arms are flailing.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, like when I was watching this, like I watched this with my fiance, and we were both in agreement when it came to this tribal, like, come on, Katura.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like Katura fully laid out,
Yeah.
said to Jake, like, okay, bye. Fully laid out, said to Jake, like, hey, if D gets to 4, D probably wins the final immunity, which means she gets to the jury, and D sweeps the jury.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That is what everything we've seen has been telling us up to this point. Katura, you have correctly laid out exactly how all of this is going to go. Well done. You did it. So if you're the person who has all of the forethought to think of this, to say this out loud to another person, to organize this plan, and to make another person swear on their grandma that this is the thing that matters, why do you then go, well, I don't trust you? Girl, it's the final 5. The final 5 is no longer a time about trust. It's about trying to win the game.
Yeah, you convinced Jake. Like, it was her plan. She convinced Jake
to
change his
trying
vote.
To bamboozle her. It was her going, hey, are you with me? And him going, I'm with you. And she's like, well, I don't think he's with me, so I'm not with him.
It's also at the bare minimum. If her expectation is all the votes are going to go to Jake and he idols himself, she's forcing a tie. Like, what are you going to do at that point? Convince the Reba to listen to you over Jake? That doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, she said she threw it on Julie because, Julie had been voted 2 times, had gotten votes two tribals in a row. So she thought there'd be definitely a vote out there. That's not good thinking.
Final 5?
That's not good thinking. Like, I can't believe she didn't throw down D there. I mean, she's obviously kicking herself too. We even saw that, that she didn't throw D. It was her plan. Like, just at final 5, you got to have the nerve. You got to go with, you did it. You came up with the plan. Just do it.
I think that's the biggest thing is like she was like, I don't know if Jake is going to betray me or not. And so to ensure that Jake couldn't betray her, she betrayed herself function.
Yeah.
And again, because I've seen a lot of discussion about this online, like, this is not us bashing on Katura as a person. Katura seems like a lovely person. But great, just as a player and as a viewer to watch this player make this move especially was very frustrating.
Yeah, I'm sitting there like cheering for her. I want her to do this. I want something for her when she gets to the end, because she doesn't have much to talk about if she gets to the end. I want her to have this. I want her to have, she had the idea. She convinced Jake. Jake played the idol on her, and then D goes home. Like, that would be amazing if that happened.
Because in that case, like, if we're predicting D goes home, then I think final 4, Austin probably wins that challenge. Although Katura hadn't hit anything.
She was there, yeah. She was going
Like-
slow, and she had the higher tower. So yeah, who knows?
She did knock it down at the end though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right at the end. Yeah.
It's true. But yeah, like my guess is if Dee's out and it's Julie, Jake, Austin, and Katura, my guess is Austin probably wins that one.
Yeah.
I wouldn't count Julie out because she
I
has
wouldn't.
performed well in challenges, just hasn't won any.
True.
So
Which
I would say
but then,
we are.
but then like everyone looked at Julie as a threat, and I think Jake probably still asks to go into fire, takes out Julie, and then Katura, Austin, Jake is the final three, and like
Austin wins.
Austin probably wins, but I think there's a world in which Katura or Jake can make their case, especially like as people said, like they're both lawyers. They should be good at stating their case in public speaking. We're like, I know that like Jake didn't have an amazing final tribal, but I don't think it was because he said anything bad. I think Jake, every time he like got to say stuff, he did a very good job.
Agree.
The problem was that like final tribal clearly wasn't about him.
Yeah.
And that was the biggest problem for him, was like he kind of went in already not as the focal point, where like you have the D and Austin of it all that is going to take that away from you. And you can even see with how a lot of the questions go, he's like, well, I want to say something, but this doesn't apply to me because I'm not D and Austin. Like at one point you can see him being like, hey, can I step it? Like he raises his hand as though he wants to go, and he doesn't get to go.
While we're on Jake, when you talk about what is my second favorite quote of the episode from him, where Jeff's like, don't put an idle or advantage. He's like, hey, Jeff, you want to hear my Tony impression?
So
hey, can you validate this for me? Like, I love Baby Girl. He is just the best. I don't know if he's ever going to come back, but I want to see him come back. And we also have the infamous, as Julie's leaving, she hugs Katura. It's like, hey, go to law school.
Be a lawyer.
Great. Yeah.
It's just
do it.
Oh, it's just so fucking funny to me.
It really is just, it's great dramatic irony where you as an audience member clearly know something that the characters you're watching don't. And then it happens twice.
So you would call it Shakespearean if you think about it.
Shakespeare's not the greatest for dramatic irony.
Okay, and we talked about it before. We get to the next challenge. We're gonna run back and forth and stack balls. You can correct me if I'm wrong. I believe that in every season previously, when a version of this challenge has been done, including in 43, no one has ever actually gotten every one of them. It has always been who has the most when time runs out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and
D not only did it, Jake was so close.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
Yeah, it was a great challenge. It was you really had no idea who it could be, and I mean until there was just a few bowls to stack, then it was kind of obvious who it was going to be because there was a lot of time for D to just take her time. But it was back and forth. It was a good one.
Yeah. And if I had a nickel for every time that a Charlie Brown like figure on a season of Survivor was in the Stack Some Bowls challenge, wasn't winning and then smashed part of the challenge so that he couldn't keep going, I'd have 2 nickels. Because when they did it in 43, Owen like bent his pole like crazy. When
I know you got this from Twitter too. I saw the same fucking tweet. Don't even.
I didn't see that on Twitter. I said that last night watching live. So haha.
Fuck you.
I forgot that. I forgot he bent his pole.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest.
He knocks it all over and he throws it like a javelin and it comes back and it's like at like a solid 30-degree angle and you're like, well, Owen's screwed.
And I'll be honest, if I were Jake, I would be doing sort of the same thing. In the sense of, I think it's a little unrealistic to think that you're in the race if you don't fucking book it, getting those bowls back and forth. You should try and maybe do whatever the fastest thing possible is.
And the man's only got 2 hands.
You would just fucking, If it breaks,
He
oh
tried, he
no.
tried and it didn't work.
I know. I'm saying I respect it. I get the move.
He intentionally broke it, I think. I think the first couple steps were him just trying to go fast. And then I think he liked the feeling of stomping on it. And he just kept stomping on it.
I think at that point he was like kind of mad and didn't care. Because it was
Yeah.
like, yeah, I'll walk on it. Like, yeah, Jeff, give me this. But like from the way it looked to me, he's like, yeah, like,
Yeah.
it's like if you break it, but he's like, I'm not gonna break it. Like, it's a
Yeah.
survivor challenge. It's well made. It's well engineered. Like,
Yeah, I do think that he didn't comprehend that, or like wasn't listening to Jeff, or didn't think he would break it. I don't think he was like trying to stomp and break after that.
yeah.
I think he was, yeah, just kind of throwing a little fit, not thinking that it would break.
Fee,
Yeah.
fi, fo, fong.
Exactly.
Yeah, D wins it, and at that
Yeah.
point, it's kind of like, well,
Oh, so
D
the second
won.
that happened, I'm like, okay, where is D on my winners ranking? Like, if she wins Final Four, there's no way she's losing FTC. But that might have happened. And we come back. I think D also takes it in for a minute that like she realizes like she's won. Like, I think obviously like if you get to if you know you're on FTC, no one's having that reaction when they get picked to not go to fire. She hits like, oh, I'm winning this game, which rightfully so. We get back to camp, and Jake's like, I want to go to fire. So that's what I need. Which like I respect, but I'm also a little annoyed at like the fire heavy gameplay we're getting at Final Four now. Whether it's that or people like give you immunity to go to fire, like it doesn't. It's frustrating that this is like a game move to 50-50 yourself.
And like it needs to be stated. Like, again, international Survivor guy here. International Survivor, specifically Australian Survivor, the main international Survivor that I watch, still to this day does votes at the Final Four. And the votes at the Final Four are really interesting sometimes. Because like sometimes it's like, oh, well, the big target didn't win, so we're voting all three. It's 3-1, they go home. But like there is a season where of the Final Four, like three of them are in an alliance, and then the one person who isn't with them wins immunity. And all of them are basically talking, and the one person who eventually goes on to win the season essentially goes to the person who's been strategically running the season and goes, listen, I know you're closer with this other person than you are with me, but I'm the only person that can beat her in the final immunity challenge. You know she can't. So if you don't vote her out, then you have no shot at winning this game. Because it's like, if she makes it to the end, she wins. You need me to get her out of here because the two of you aren't beating her at immunity. And so you get a 2-1-1 vote at Final Four. And it's like, yeah, that's awesome. That's great. It's a great move from the person who goes on to win the season to convince that. Because then like goes to Final Three, wins that final immunity challenge. They vote out the person who would have beat both of them. And then the person who organized that whole vote goes on to win the game. And it's like, that's awesome. That's great. I want to see those dynamics instead of I can build fire tall. I can build fire tall and fast.
Yeah, I used to really enjoy the fire. I think it was very exciting moment to get into the final three. But yeah, now that it's become this strategy thing that isn't really, it like people don't actually sit there and say, oh yeah, you made fire, so you win. We were actually going to count that towards your resume. Like,
I mean, that happened in 43.
Well, yeah, but it's not like it doesn't come down to just that, like so like Jake did it. Jake went and made fire, won it, made a great fire, no votes. It's not like, I know he needs to do it and he needs to get this boost. I think I agree. I don't like that it's just this one thing, this one isolated situation. It's like, okay, now I'm going to throw a vote on you just because you made fire. I mean, like there's so much other game that's been played up to that point. There's other challenges. I get it as a small thing, as like a small proof of like, and I won that. But it's talked about much bigger than that.
it's also like I think last season, when Heidi, I think, like set herself to fire to take out Carson, and like that was her one jury vote. Her
Yeah.
jury vote was going to fire, and that's basically all that she got.
Yeah.
Like it's weird to me that like that one juror, I forget who the fuck voted for her, but
you're
part
gonna
of the
get that. You're gonna get that
In
one
43
person
in
who
43 in 43 the only vote for Cassidy was from James.
no, I'm saying 44.
Yeah, Heidi.
Oh, 44 Danny voted for Heidi.
That
Yeah,
makes
right,
sense.
right. Because you're
That
gonna
makes
get the only person voting for you that's like, I would have done that. I respect that. I respect putting your life on the line. But it's not gonna be a whole jury. You're not gonna get like half a jury voting for you for that.
There is one example in the fire making era of like going into fire making and winning fire making being like
Being the win.
actually
Yeah.
a move and a big move, and that's Edge of Extinction.
And I kind of like it there because he's out of the game.
It's a great way to end that.
Yeah.
He did literally everything physically he could in those fucking like 3 or 4 days that actually meant something.
Yeah. That's why I would love it there. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
He did everything
like
he could.
he looks at it from a place of like someone has to take him out. This is the only chance there is to take this person out. I think I stand the best chance, but also it does like it's one thing to be like, oh, I won fire. It's an entire different thing to go, this is the guy who will kick everyone's ass if he makes it to the end. I am going to make sure that I am personally responsible for removing him from this game.
Yeah. Yeah,
like,
for sure.
Like, it's not like Gabler went into fire in 43 and was like, I need to be the one who gets Jesse out of this game. Gabler went to fire because he was like, I kind of want to make a fire.
Right.
Like,
right.
Like,
yeah.
okay.
And like, yeah, also like with Extinction, it's like you were out of the game for so long, you come back in and you're like, could you imagine if I was here the whole time? I would have kicked all your butts the whole time. Like I did everything I possibly like. I think it really works there. I don't like it as just this huge thing.
Survivor Edge of Extinction is a top 5 Survivor season of all time. Do not at me.
You know what? It just fell out of my top 10.
It has my favorite. It has my favorite American tribal council in Survivor history.
That's it. Jumping ship.
I'm jumping ship.
So Katura goes out in fire, and Jake's like, "Ayo, be a lawyer." And Katura's like, "Well, actually, crazy thing." Yeah.
Good moment.
I will say, once I saw Jake win fire, I sort of checked out until votes were read, because I didn't expect there to be a speech, so I just didn't clock it, and I never really listened to FTC speeches. So I'm going to turn to y'all a little bit more for context on that.
Yeah, so there's no speeches at Final Tribal Council. So we get I really like the segments that they're doing now and have been for the past couple of seasons of like, we get to see the jury before we go to Final Tribal, where they talk about like, here's some of our opinions on the people still in the game. Here's what we're looking for, 100%. In retrospect, it really feels like all the people who were like, I could vote for Jake, were kind of like, well, somebody has to say it. So
yeah,
yes, it's you.
Yeah, I agree.
To be fair, like there's a world like some of the things they said made sense, where it's like Caleb talks about, he's like, Jake had the hardest time of any of the 3 here. Absolutely. And also he's like, Jake didn't give up. He tried to make great moves and other people kept getting in his way. And it's not even the people here at the end with him. It's the people in the jury with me. But yeah, and then like a lot of people are like, D's great. Austin's great. Both played very similar games. Both played a lot. And then there's Kendra's like, I'm going to vote for whoever has the best vibes. And sure, I hate that.
I did see.
If I went to a Final Tribal, if I was on Survivor and I went to Final Tribal Council and someone was sitting there and they were like, I'm not voting based on gameplay. I'm not even really voting on what you say. I'm voting on what the stars tell me to vote for. Like, I'm sorry, but I hate that.
Oh, I'll definitely get to the reunion.
If I was on a tribe
reunion
with
section.
Kendra, I would lose my mind.
I feel
I
like
couldn't do it. I couldn't do it.
me and Kendra would be besties, but I would absolutely try to goad her to the end because I think there'd be a lot of people like you.
Well, I think it's
Makes
also a
sense,
thing
yeah.
of like my problem with it is like I don't know how well I can work with someone like Kendra if all of a sudden she's going to be like, well, the stars told me a different plan and I like them more than I like you. Like what?
Yeah, at that point, I think it'd get a little frustrating trying to be really strategic. I don't know. I feel like I'd get along with her, but yeah, I think it could be frustrating down the line,
Yeah.
especially like you said in that vote at the end.
Yeah.
Just gonna give it to the
But yeah, like
vibes.
Final Tribal was so I'll say like Final Tribal was fine. I was disappointed because Jeff Probst hyped this up before the episode was like Final Tribal season is a war. And no, it was not. It had
No,
it had one big moment.
there was like a back and forth between Dee and Austin for a little bit where they're just like, no, I did that. No, but before my pre-merge, when we swapped tribes, no, when I swapped tribes, just like trying to take, here's the thing. Neither of you can take credit for any of these because it was Drew. Drew did everything. We all know that. And he's sitting on the jury.
The only person who brought any fire to that FGC
and
was
then Jake's
fucking
over here,
Emily.
like, hi, I'm from
Emily
Boston.
contributed.
Yeah, it wasn't fiery. It wasn't a great tribal. I do think it did flow a bit. I felt early in it that Austin was giving the better answers. I thought Dee saying that she wasn't strategic was going to be a big hit. As soon as she said that,
Dee's was very lackluster until the one big moment she gets.
Yes, exactly.
Like, I'll be honest, if we're talking about like consistency and quality of their Final Tribal performance, Jake had the best answers to everyone's questions that he was asked. The problem was like he went in there without the chance to really do much, no matter how he answered his questions. But like every question he answered, I'm like, yeah, like that's a great answer to this question. That's a really good response. Like I would like if I asked that question and that was the response you gave me, like that would sway me a little bit to you.
Yeah.
Like
yeah, for sure. I thought Jake was great. Dee was, I mean, saying that she didn't play strategic and just played with her emotions, I think was hurting her in that moment. But then as it went on and she got her sort of big moment at the end where she said she has actually kept something from Austin, I think everybody realized, okay, you know, Austin's been just sucked into this. He's been giving her all the information, but she's been ahead of it. She's been ahead of him. She's a step ahead of him. That's why we'll give it to her.
Yeah.
And I also think Emily pointing out that Austin, yes, you had a bunch of advantages, but you misused all of them, I think was a big moment also for everyone to see, oh yeah, okay, he had all these things. His name was never written down, but he misused them everywhere along the way. Still really good for Austin that, you know, he's the hunky boy that never makes it to the end and never got his name written down, like not even once. And he was winning individual immunities, never gotten his name written down. That's huge. But yeah, in his talk at the end, I didn't really feel like he was claiming any of those, you know, moves and was able to claim any of that security that he had built. Like him and Drew did build a lot of it, and I didn't quite get from him that they did that, you know. So I think the jury, that's why they ended up going with Dee.
And I think the big thing that I've said multiple times since watching and said even during it is like based especially on like what questions were asked, what was said during Final Tribal, and like because most of the focus was on like Dee and Austin, especially like Dee and Austin as like a plural being, like the two of them together. When Dee, like a lot of what they say is very similar and is very lined up with each other. And when Dee gets that big moment where she gets that big one up on Austin, where she has that, like, actually, I did tell Julie, that's how this all happened. And then also, like, yeah, the Emily pushback of, like, you say you had all these idols and advantages, but, like, at Final 6, you played an idol for yourself and there were no votes against you and your number one ally went home. Do you not think that looks kind of bad? And like at that point, I'm truly like, I'm sitting there and I'm watching with my fiance, and I'm like, I thought Austin would have and should have gotten no votes. Because at
At
the end
that
of the
point,
day,
yeah.
because at the end of the day, my biggest thing is like any upside you see in voting for Austin is greater in D. Like,
Yeah.
there is no reason to vote for Austin when you can vote for D other than like the vibes. I was his bud. D said a
She
not
has
nice
more
thing to me
immunities
during
than
Final
him.
Tribal.
She literally, I think that she could have claimed better. Like, people are out because she told them to. Like,
Yeah.
Emily is gone because she told Julie to play her idol on her. Kelly is gone because she organized that vote almost single-handedly. I'm trying to think who else, but like she has multiple claims to basically just single-handedly controlling a vote, and everyone else followed her. And she doesn't bring that up. I do think, and you mentioned at the beginning of the show, Dean, the head versus heart debate, and having her basically like push back on that question, be like, no, that's not a different thing for me. I played with both. I knew when to listen to some of it more and some of it less, but it was never separate. It was always intertwined. And I think that's a really good perspective for a winner.
Yeah.
I don't think it's as like checkmate as what Jam Jam did last season.
Yeah.
But I think that it's an interesting angle on her game that makes it unique compared to Austin, who basically had D's game but worse.
Yeah.
And I think a big thing to go with that is like the biggest problem I had, like, because I watched it and like the way she articulate, like, I think the point she makes is not a bad point, but like she doesn't really articulate it in any way where someone's like, because she specifically asked like, when did you play with your head? Like, did you play with your head? Did you play with your heart? Like, talk about that. And she like as much as what she says makes sense and is a good answer in my opinion in theory. Like, I don't think she answered the question. Like it's a good answer, but she didn't answer it well. Because she doesn't say
Yeah.
like, because like it's like, did you play with your head or your heart? And she basically goes like, well, neither, both, and doesn't talk about why it is that way. Like if she said like, I played with my heart, I made these bonds, I had this connection with Austin, but I also used my head to keep this information from Austin when I knew it was my best decision not to tell him this stuff. Like you can make that a really good answer.
Yeah.
But to me, sitting watching at home, what happens is she doesn't really answer the question at all, despite the fact that in theory she's making a salient point.
Yeah, for sure. I felt the exact same. Like I went into tribal thinking, oh, it's D no matter what. And then as soon as that moment happens, I'm thinking that was a bad answer. It just, the door is now open because that was such a bad answer. Like I agree. I don't think she answered it at all.
It is a non-answer.
Yeah. Like, and she did play like with her heart, but like it led her the right places, you know, it led her into the right alliance. She's even in that alliance because she caught Austin and Drew finding an idol. Like that's the only reason they're in it.
You lucked your way into it.
Yeah, exactly. You're just like, you stumbled upon them, and then from there on,
pulling a rope with a hammer attached to it through the dirt, and now we're here.
And now they're there at the end, and in love. But that end for D. I just think I think it is good and it is strong to say that you played with their heart. I think it's a great winner, someone who played with their heart. And just for her to be able to articulate that, like her heart led her to the right decisions, though, would have been good. It would have been a bonus for her, but she did have that thing in her back pocket to pull out that she has been, you know, not truthful with Austin the whole time. So that was enough to do it. Also, if you think of like the people who voted for Austin, I mean, you got like Bruce, like, I mean, I feel like there's no one else Bruce could have voted for.
And it also like there's a moment that is very clearly pointed out during the final tribal where like they're talking about advantages and D's like, I never had an idol. Bruce had an idol. You should have played. And like
we should have played that.
Yeah, and you can see Bruce being like, oh, come on, like Bruce.
He didn't say another word after that. Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Like any chance she had of getting his vote is gone there.
It's gone.
It's gone. And then I said going in, like I was I was pretty positive that like Austin had Drew's vote no matter what.
For sure, yeah.
Like my prediction towards the end, at the very end, because like I was like, yeah, why would you vote for Austin if you can vote for D, unless like you're Drew, who's gonna vote for Austin because he's Drew and he's Austin. And so I was predicting, I was guessing, I'm like, it'll be like a 6-1 or like a 5-2 with Austin at most getting one vote. And that one vote is Drew, but guaranteed Austin is getting one vote. It's 3.
This is the season where I was like, this is where a 7-1-0 makes sense. Granted, I don't want it to be fucking Austin who gets the one vote, but I would get it if it was 7 to D, 1 to Austin, 1 to Jake.
Yeah. But you forgot to look in the stars and see that it was actually Austin who gets a vote.
I need to comment on this. I saw Twitter. Okay, it's just spoiler alert. It's 5-3-0. Austin got Bruce, Drew, and Kendra's votes.
Yeah.
I saw someone on Twitter compare Kendra to Carla because both of them equally hate successful women, which is a little drastic. I think that Kendra just made a bad decision. Carla's a bag of worms. I don't know how to open.
Well, I think to touch on this very, very lightly and not get into controversy and also not get too much into Survivor.
As the most woman here, I don't want to touch it.
Like, I think the big thing with Carla is like Carla doesn't hate successful women. That's not what any of that was about at the end of 43. Carla didn't vote for Cassidy because Carla basically went to Cassidy and said, like, I want to go to the end with you. We've been together this whole time, and got burned by Cassidy. But also, like, Carla fulfilled the promise she gave, where Carla said beforehand, like, if you betray me, I will convince this jury not to vote for you. And she did. Like Carla leveraged her persuasive abilities with the jury against Cassidy while they were in the game. Cassidy took that bet and she lost that bet. Like, Carla followed through. It's not that Carla hates successful women. It's that she hates that she got backstabbed and did what she said she would do.
Yeah, for sure. And to talk on this season, I mean, Kendra, I think I like Kendra. I like her a lot. I think she's same thing. She's just following her heart, like she's been doing the whole time. And that's what it said. You know, that's what it said in the moment. She thought Austin should get it, so she wrote down Austin's name. I don't think there's any sore feelings anywhere there. I think that's just Kendra being Kendra.
Yeah, and I think we just go more into it. I think everything's pretty unremarkable other than Kendra and then Emily's vote. If you spend $1 on that man, I will fly to Miami and personally take it back. Like,
great.
Queen.
Yeah, great.
Financial analyst Emily Flippin giving some good financial advice.
There you go. Yeah.
I think it's the best like final tribal voting confessional we've gotten since Boston Rob and Winners at War, where he says, like, I told you when you got back that you had to play perfect. You almost did, but you should have taken this guy out. Like that to me is a fantastic moment. But yeah, like I agree with the general sentiment where, like, I think 45 was a great season. I think the finale was good. Like the finale was frustrating and then a foregone conclusion, which made it kind of boring.
Yeah. I like going into it. I big fan of Emily, big fan of Drew. So, you know, back-to-back weeks of just being disappointed in Austin and his decisions.
I was like, when Emily got voted out, the post that I made with the link to this podcast in the Survivor Reddit said, "We are in mourning. Come watch our after show."
Yes, exactly. So this episode, going into it, less excited because they're not there. But I think with the players left, I think it was a good episode. There were times where I was second guessing I definitely thought Dee wins if she's there, but there were times that it did make me second guess, or times the episode made me second guess. So I think it was put together well. I'm happy that Dee was the one that won out of those, final 3. I think that she deserved it to win. So I was pretty pleased with it. I always love the wrap up after pizza and champagne. It's just a fun time. This cast seemed really fun and seemed to all like each other. So it was a good hangout.
I think like the best way to say it is they did the best that they could with what was sadly a somewhat lackluster end game.
Yeah, totally. I agree with that. Yeah.
Like the episode was as good as it could have been with how the game played out at the end.
Yeah. Like, can Katura ever win? No. Can Jake ever win? No. But there are parts in the episode where I'm like, okay, but if this happens, maybe Jake gets a vote. Oh, if this happens and Katura gets there, maybe she gets a vote. So yeah, I think they put together a good episode where I was still thinking that there were things that could happen that could get it exciting in the end, but in the end ends up how we probably thought going into the final episode it would.
It is the thing of like it's been said, it's a psychological fact that has been proven, and it makes itself clear basically every season of Survivor, of like people are hardwired to root for the underdog.
Yeah,
that is how we are as people. We like the underdog just inherently psychologically. So we see D been running this game top to bottom, doing great. Good job. You're playing a great game. It's kind of boring. Like, I don't actively want to root for you all the time because, like, it's not exciting to root for you because, like, oh, you get a big win. You've already gotten those. We've seen that. Like, but if I root
how can Jake win this?
Jake gets a big win. It's like, hell yeah, Jake got a big win. We've been waiting for this for 13 weeks.
Yeah.
I will say, I think this was part of it where I was like, are we getting a Gabler situation? Like, is someone fucking crazy winning? But I think D has a level of like energy and interest that I didn't get the same from Jesse in 43. Where like when I wasn't like, fuck yeah, this loser's going home. But I was more interested in a Cassie or Ellen win than a Jesse steamroll. Even though I love Jake. And I also would have been happy with a Julie win. I think D winning was truly like, she deserved it, played a great game. And even when the Reba 4 was truly in control, I always felt like something could have gone wrong, and it did a lot. It's not totally like we were in a Ghost Island scenario. I think there was some flexibility there.
Yeah, and I think D just had a much more strategic game than she talked about. Like, there were even really early episodes where you don't really know much of the cast, and then someone comes and tells D something, and then they leave, and D's just like, they're lying. And it's like, oh, she's good right away. She knows right away that person was lying. And it sort of picked up early for me that D was someone who had her pulse on the game. So just to not really bring any of that stuff up, I think she just sold herself a little short. I think there was lots of strategic things at play that she did, which is why I think, she's definitely the deserved winner.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like, because a lot of people have been saying like 45 is the best season of the new era. I get that. To me, I think I still lean 42 just because to me, like the end game is the make or break for me of Survivor, of quality. Like, it's part of why I love Edge of Extinction so much, because like the end game is wild and is the most important part of that season to an insane degree.
So exciting.
Like 42, I love the end game of 42. The end game of 42 is fantastic because like the final 6, you have it. I know Matthew's watched this. Has Matthew seen 42? Spence, do you know this?
Has not. Great.
Matthew, I'm going to spoil it. So mute in.
Okay, let's just be vague. Here.
The final
six vote is one of the most important votes in Survivor history.
It's incredible, and I love it. And then final 5, like predictable, not insane, but it's like it's a good vote to see strategically. And the big thing that I think makes the end game of 42 so great is the person who wins the final 4 immunity challenge drastically shakes up what you think could happen in the best way possible. And then you get to final tribal and like you have I think an all-time great final tribal performance. Yeah. Spence is frozen again, but like the winner of 42 gives an all-time great final tribal performance.
Totally.
It's the same with like, I think the great game stretch in Survivor history to me personally is Survivor Vanuatu. Survivor Vanuatu has one of the perfect end games of any season. Like the first half of Survivor Vanuatu is super boring, and it's not a good season of Survivor. Like if you tell someone I love Survivor Vanuatu and they watch the first 4 or 5 episodes, they'd be like, "Why? Why do you love this season?" But it's like once you hit the final 7 of that season, it is just perfection because it is all of a sudden everything turns, the underdog starts to get their way, very dynamic gameplay, and then the final tribal council is just like someone completely mastering the art of bullshitting and ass kissing in the best way possible.
It's how to do
Yeah,
it.
Yeah,
it's just a worse version of Chris.
absolutely. San Juan del Sur, great, boring pre-merge except for the Drew Christie boot. Boring pre-merge except for basically I'm a badass, throws the challenge to try to get someone out and gets voted out himself. But then the post-merge, it's like, yeah, the Natalie Anderson revenge arc, incredible, amazing. Rest in peace, Keith Nail, the king.
Okay, so I don't think there's anything really important or fun at the like reunion thing for 45.
No, we see the preview for Survivor 46, and it's a really bad preview.
Mm-hmm. You're not showing us the gameplay.
It's a really
You're
bad
showing us their audition videos.
It's a really bad preview.
When they were showing the audition videos, I was sitting there trying to guess, like, oh, is this going to be people that have auditioned every single season and never gotten on, or like what? Why are they doing this? What's the key aspect of the audition videos? And it was nothing.
There was
nothing about it.
There was one thing that stood out to me that I wanted to like ask y'all about, because I don't know what their fucking name is, but one of the people gets given their buff during their first confessional.
Oh, that dude, he looks fun.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. If you had fucking told me that they're like this is their new thing and they're doing a surprise one world twist, I would have bought that. I would have fucking loved that, and that's a surprise. Everyone's like, open their buffs. Oh shit, it's all one color or some shit.
Mm.
You're still doing 3 times 6. What's the point of that? I don't get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so
Still excited.
best. So that is a great clip. I want to do 2 things before we head out, which is I want to see where we rank the new era seasons, like with each other, and overall rankings for 45 on like our total lists. I don't know if you two have itemized lists. I do. I can give an exact thing.
I'd have to find my old tier list that I made and sent you a long time ago, but it exists somewhere.
I have
It's
no
probably-
list.
It's either in the tribal council group
So
chat
I
or
can
it's
just
in
say
the Railroad
personally.
Tribe
I think
group chat.
so. Personally, 45, I would call the best new era season.
I would have it at number 2.
Yeah, I think that if it wasn't for half the merge losing your vote, it would be clear, undisputed. There's no chance. 42 is very close. I just think that it being discount 41 does hold it back a lot, but I need to rewatch to see if there's anything really competitive there. Then I would go 42, and then I would go 44, purely just because 44 didn't sit with me and isn't as special to me, but I get why it's there. And then 43, and then 41. I think 43 below 41 is fucking wild to me, because I think 43 has a great cast, just an awful finale. I will be a light 43 defender.
So for me, I have 42 at number 1 for this new era. I talked about why earlier. I think just like I find it a little more dynamic, which I really like a season that is like shifting back and forth, things like that. This is a clear second though. 43 and 44 are like really close to me because I'm kind of super neutral on both. Like I think both are very mid-tier kind of forgettable seasons. I think 44 has the better winner, but I think as an overall season, I think I kind of like 43 more. But like these two are probably like back to back if I revise my full season rankings, honestly. Like they're super middle to me. And then I would say like I think 41 is my clear least favorite of the new era. 41 is in my bottom 3 seasons of all time. To be fair, I have never seen Survivor Thailand, which everyone says like goes down there at the bottom at the floor. But to me, like it is a season where like I have watched Survivor since I was like 7. Like I was a young kid when I was watching Survivor. The first season of Survivor I remember distinctly is Survivor Guatemala, like which premiered when I was like 6. And I know like I watched China for sure. Like I watched Tocantins and Gabon when they were on. Like I watched Survivor every year since I was a kid. And then Winners at War happens, pandemic happens, Survivor goes away for a little while. I get really into Australian Survivor because they could keep filming because Australia had their shit together. They just started filming Australian Survivor in Australia, and that was all they had to do, and it worked great. It was good. Australian Survivor Brains versus Brawn kicks ass. But then like they're like Survivor's back. We have it. Survivor 41. And for their first season back to be so horribly, terribly edited, to have a really bad narrative, just a general, like some of the cast, I'm like, you're great. But like some of the cast, I'm like, I don't care. Some of the cast, I don't know who you are. Like, I'll be honest. We got to the finale, like I didn't know Erica's name until we were like 2 or 3 episodes deep into the merge while watching 41 live, because like was such a non-factor. And so it is a thing of like from like a gameplay and everything perspective, like sure, 41 not a bad season. And like I've watched videos that like break down Erica's winning game and everything. I'm like, these are good, but to me it's just like from a standpoint of how it is constructed as a full season, 41 is a failure to me. It's not in my F tier, but it is in my E tier on my tier list. There's only one season in my F tier though, so
We don't have the same bottom season. That's all I'll say.
we don't. This is true.
Dean,
Yeah,
how do you?
I'll give my my new age Survivor here. I'm pretty big on recency bias. Whenever I watch anything, it moves up on the list, no matter what it is. So I got 45 at the top right now. I don't know. We'll see how that settles after I have some time away from it. But right now, really loved it. So that's my top. I'm very similar to you two. I've got 42 next. Great season. 44 I have as third. It's just like my top 3 running the game. So like it was fun to watch.
Jam is one of my favorite players of the new era.
Great.
Ultimate and I both love 2/3 of that alliance.
Oh, interesting. Okay, I love all of them.
I will say, as time has gone on, I love 1/3 of the alliance.
Interesting.
Okay, let's on the same page about one of them. Carolyn is still one of my favorite Survivor characters ever.
Yes.
And you can shut the fuck up.
We've been over this. I'm so neutral on the concept of Carolyn.
Okay, I love Carolyn. Wanted her to win. I just think that season was so fun to watch. Just watching those 3 kind of run the show. So that's at my number 3 there. Then I have 43 next. I'm just kind of neutral on it. It was good. I enjoyed it. But yeah, I agree that 41 is the bottom. I don't know what was going on there, trying new stuff, didn't put together sort of the best product they could. It's quite forgettable for me. I don't remember a lot of the people in it. That's my new age rank.
And so I'll say my overall ranking. 45 for me is the best a season can be while it has flaws. It is right above Edge of Extinction and right below Millennials versus Gen X.
Boo. Actually, no, Millennials versus Gen X should be higher, but also both of them should be higher.
Edge of Extinction is my number 10. It's still in there. It's still riding it out. I don't hate the ending. 45 could honestly be number 7 if you don't have those stupid ass loser votes every round.
It's fair. I would say looking at my tier list that has not been updated in a while, 45 definitely doesn't crack my top 10. No. It's probably hovering around like the 15 range right now.
That's fair.
I'm kind of the opposite of Dean, where I'm like not huge on recency bias. Like 42, the first time I watched it, I was like, oh, this is great. But I rewatched it before. I was like, oh yeah, this is like 42 is at the time I made my tier list, it was number 6. It's moved down, not because like I think it's worse, but because a certain Edge of Extinction has moved up. If Edge of Extinction has 1,000,000 defenders, I am one of them. If Edge of Extinction has 1,000 defenders, I am one of them. If Edge of Extinction has 1 defender, I am him. If Edge of Extinction has no defenders, I am no longer on this earth.
I will actually say, Matthew, I have only seen 35, so you're getting close to me, and at least we're still on the same page.
Matthew, have you seen One World?
I think he has.
It's the worst season of
He
Survivor.
has. He just watched Blood vs. Water recently, and he had to know the Colton backstory.
You know.
And Monica Culpepper. Dean, do you have like a formalized?
No, I don't. I want to now make one, but I don't have one. I'd have to think about it. I definitely can't remember absolutely every season I've watched, so I have to go through the casts and make a list from there.
It helps. I probably need to redo my ranking because I have Co Wrong and Philippines, 2 seasons I love, below David versus Goliath, Wolf, and All Stars.
Correct. Other than
David
the winner,
my 13.
now
Honestly, it could be
terrible.
lower. I have 44 right above Game Changers, and then Pearl Islands below that. This needs some redoing.
Yeah. like I'm not as
That's a
high on Pearl Island.
That's a wild.
Nicaragua's not a good season.
It'll be the last season that I like watch for the first time.
Nicaragua's not my least favorite season, but like if you want to talk about a season that's pretty boring with a lot of characters that don't matter, Nicaragua's up there. The best part of Survivor Nicaragua is a man by the name of Marty. He's great.
Yeah, Will West really loves Nicaragua. I don't know if you remember him, but
I do, and I don't like him.
Really was there anything else y'all wanted to say before we wrap this up?
You know, I think the main thing I want to say is Survivor 45 was good. We have plans for the off season for a few.
We have loose plans. Nothing has been solidified.
We have a confirmed first thing that we're doing, and then other than that, like, who knows where the next thing we do, which will probably be like January, we're probably going to take Christmas break off, is we're going to do like our dream All-Stars cast if New Era All-Stars happen right now. I've started making mine, and I've realized how kind of not enthusiastic I am about a lot of people on some of these seasons. And then we've had discussions about doing other like ranking type videos, things like that. Or the other option, which is the one I will always lobby for, is doing Australian Survivor recap, because Australian Survivor elite tier, great show. Ooh, Matthew makes a good pitch. I like this pitch. Tier list of every Kelly to ever play Survivor.
That's awesome.
A while ago, I watched a video from Survivor YouTuber Idled Out, who I love, and I didn't realize that it was going to be a joke going into it, but the list is called Top 5 Most Robbed Survivor Players, and the first name on the list is the General from Survivor Marquesas, and you're like, okay, sure. Which I didn't realize this, but did you guys know that the General's first name is Robert? And then you get to player number 4, and it's like, our next most robbed player is Rob Sesternino. And of course you're like, well, yeah, Rob, but like you don't know I didn't know the General's name was Robert, so it's like Rob Sesternino. It's like, yeah, that's a pretty robbed player. Yeah, I would agree. Like, our next most robbed player is Boston Rob. And then the joke really becomes apparent when his number 1 is Rob Zabatnik from Survivor Thailand. It's like, yes, the top 5 most Robs on Survivor.
Excellent.
Anything else before we wrap this up?
Great season.
distinction, pure
Yeah.
entertainment.
All right, that is the end of the first season of The Vibe is Spoken. We'll be back eventually for funny shit, and also 46 when that starts. We'll have opinions
One of
eventually.
these days, we will just tweet a picture of my face at Jake O'Kane and be like, "Hey, your long lost twin has a Survivor podcast. Join him."
Give it up for Jake's twin, one of my favorite Canadians. Love the country, love the people, everything else.
We're great at
And we'll
Survivor.
see you next time.